Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to this one. As many of you know, this is my favorite actual one in the series. It's a very, very fun game, and specifically, it focuses on a period that really isn't touched by most World War II games, partially because a lot of what's happening in this particular DLC for Order of Battle was pre-World War II, so 1937, 1936, etc. Let's take a look here. Sure. Thanks, Condra. Give us 1 second here. Boost up the mic a bit. Yeah, it should be a lot better. Maybe a little bit too much. As for the game sound, we will turn that up. The reason the game sound is silent right now is because we're in the the pre-start to a mission. Thanks, Lands are awesome. Just want the Steam update to go up first, and then we will start. Thank you, Goodall. You'll have to ask that to Muso. I'm honestly not sure. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, awesome, guys. I got to see a little bit of John Paul Vernaki's stream. Great guy. Very, very, very cool game that he's made there with Empires Apart. Pretty neat. I didn't get to see the whole thing, but I did check in a bit, and I was very impressed. Okay, guys, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. We are going to be playing, of course, Order of Battle Morning Sun. So for those of you guys that are not familiar with Order of Battle Morning Sun, this is basically a look at the actual war between China and Japan, the Sino-Japanese War, of which there were actually several. Now, many of you know, those of you that do not, that China was not exactly a unified country when the Japanese first attacked. There was, of course, Manchuria, and there were a lot of different cliques. We call them cliques, but really they were areas controlled by basically warlords. However, out of this, this madness and this back and forth, the Emperor Puyi, who is the Chinese emperor, became a puppet of the Japanese. And the Chinese Republic, the Kuomintang, actually was fighting against Puyi and the Japanese. Of course, later on in the war, Mao's communists also joined the fight against the Japanese and Puyi, but that was a little bit later, and I'm not actually sure that's covered in this DLC. I know for a fact that the Kuomintang campaigns are, but in this DLC, we actually play as the bad guys. We actually play as the Japanese. So we get to go ahead and experience what they experienced when they were trying to take over Manchuria. Let's take a look here at the chat. Haha, very good. Very cool, good old Jin. Okay, so here we go, guys. We are going to go ahead and get started. Let's start the briefing. Spectacular success through the campaign has led us here. Japanese forces are ready for an all-out assault against Chongqing. Taking this major Chinese stronghold and wartime capital may be our best and last chance to bring this war to a quick end. The city is protected by several natural barriers. First, the Yangtze River, and second, the vast mountain range further east. This enables the enemy to deploy a deep line of defenses to guard the capital against the attack. The main bridge across the Yangtze River are likely to be guarded by concentrated enemy forces. It is crucial to defeat these decisively to prevent them from regrouping for later counterattacks. Other important objectives are the local airfields to assure continued air support during the operation. The Chinese have demonstrated an admirable resilience and the ability to recover from major setbacks. Nonetheless, Tokyo believes that we can enforce a favorable truce, once both Chongqing and the key figures of the Chinese leadership have been captured. So let's go ahead and get started here, guys. We, of course, have to try and defeat the Yangtze River defenses. We've got to secure the northern airfields, and we've got to secure the Chongqing area. Incredibly, there's a secondary objective which allows you to capture Chiang Kai-shek, the leader of the Kuomintang, or the Chinese Republic. And really, it wasn't much of a republic because, to be quite honest with you, Chiang Kai-shek was more or less a bit of a dictator. So since we're getting started here, I think we're going to have to start from the very beginning, and we're going to have to purchase new units. I'm trying to think what I need in this campaign. I'm definitely going to be taking some tanks. But again, I mentioned this in previous streams that the Japanese tanks really are not the best in the world. They're just not, you know. Japan really is fighting in very mountainous terrain most of the time, or jungle terrain. So they don't really need, per se, any real tank forces, to be quite honest with you. I'm also going to be taking some artillery here because I think that's going to be important to actually make our way across these bridges by basically providing some supporting fire. And I might even bring in some bombers. I believe we have some Zeros. Could be wrong. We also have the Rico, the G3M Rico, but I'm actually not a big fan of it, to be honest with you. I think I'd rather take the Kanko or the Ki 51, something like this. It's also a little expensive for a plane that's honestly not the best bomber in the world. Let's take a look over here. Very cool. All right, here we go. So obviously, if you have any suggestions, please do feel free to drop them, but I think I pretty much know how I want to approach this mission. I'm also going to take this guy right here, and I'm thinking we should also probably get a fighter plane to protect these guys. That being said, we don't want to spend all of our cash on just planes. That's going to be a major problem, but I love the Zero, so I'm taking a Zero with me. Now, actually, the Japanese planes were not really as heavily armored as most other planes. But what they lacked in armor, they made up for in, of course, speed, resilience, things like that. So they were definitely dangerous, but if you got a few rounds into a Zero, you could definitely take it down. Also going to be taking some Japanese Marines here. I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess we will. I was going to say I'm not sure I want to get the Type 94 truck, but I think it's probably somewhat important. And we also have to start setting up some guys over here. So let's purchase some more cavalry. Okay, let's purchase some more artillery. And of course, we have to give the artillery some sort of transport, or else, quite frankly, it's going to be totally useless. In this terrain, we have to be able to move quickly. Take another Type 89. And let's get some more infantry units here. 590 still to spend. Now, of course, keep in mind that if you start at the beginning of the actual campaign, then, of course, you can, obviously build your troops up from there, and you don't have to redeploy here. Unless you want to. You can bring in, basically, units from earlier parts of your campaign, which I think is a really great feature. Let's go ahead. I'm going to get some more artillery here. Definitely going to get some more artillery. And I'd actually love to get some more bombers as well, but I'm not sure I want to do that right now. Let's grab that. Boom. And maybe another infantry unit. Why not? Some more Marines. They're going to have to make their way across eventually. Let's take that. Now, we are spending a lot just buying these guys trucks, etc., but I think it's an absolutely essential thing for us to do. And you bet I'm still using cavalry. Especially in this war, it still has its values. What else should we get? Let's get one more bomber. So I'm going to go ahead and get the Kambaku. It looks an awful lot like a Zero, but it's actually really a much bigger plane. I guess you could call it the Zero's big brother. Of course, the Zero is a fighter plane, and the Kanbaku is a bomber. We still have 115, but I'm going to hold on to it for now, and we're going to get started. All right, guys, we shall begin our advance. I'm worried. I know the Chinese are going to be defending this area as best they can, so I'm going to try to stay off the main roads as much as I can. Of course, we're still going to have to move on the main roads a bit, but we'll try to be careful in our movements, if that makes sense. All right, here we go. Chinese will be waiting for us. There's no doubt about that. And they're not going to be very happy. Oh boy, we've got our first pillbox. First things first, let's go ahead and try to bomb it out of existence. Fire again. Alright, I'm going to bring in my bombers as well. Oh, and look at that. We're starting to spot some of the enemy defenses there. It looks like the Kuomintang have some Chinese heavy infantry waiting for us. I definitely want to give them a nice little hello. Let's hope that they don't have any AA guns, which it doesn't look like they do. So we're going to go ahead and bomb that area. We actually managed to do 2 damage. Oh, they do have AA guns. Sneaky. Very, very sneaky. That being said, we're going to go ahead and keep on moving forward. And let's hit these guys. Nice. Still got the 0, but I'm not sure I really want to do much with him. Then again, there's a chance we could actually still damage the enemy with the 0, so why not? We'll go ahead and bring him in. Nice. Good work. Nice little strafing attack on the enemy. Worked out very well for us. And now, of course, I'm going to try to finish them off with our cavalry. They're so close to being defeated. Well, I should say one bunker is close to being defeated. I will say this map feels very restricted, and in general, when you're playing as the Japanese in China, you feel very restricted because there's so many mountains around here, there's so many hills that you really need to sort of funnel your men through very, very dangerous areas. And it doesn't always work out well for your army, as you guys could probably expect. I'm going to go ahead and get some more of this Japanese cavalry. Believe it or not, I think they're going to be a lot more useful than we anticipate. I think these guys are going to actually probably help us win this particular battle. Let's take a look here at the chat, of course. Hello, Redster. Good to see you, man. Hello, Xylarum. Condra, of course. Very, very cool. Ooh, well done. All right, guys, so let's jump in. I'm going to go ahead and end the turn. I want to make sure that I've done everything. And really just one way to check is just hitting the tab button. Make sure that you've moved all your units, and we shall end. Let's see what the Kuomintang is going to do. I'm actually amazed with just one, basically, one attack point here. Really, it's more than just an attack point. It's one bunker. They were actually able to do some damage. That's pretty surprising. Although then again, I must admit, our cavalry is pretty easy to damage. It's got its uses. It moves quickly. That's why I'm liking it. It's cheap, but it's definitely easy to damage. Now I'm going to move into Zhongzhou, and sure enough, there was an ambush set up for us. That's why I sent the cavalry in. At the very least, they can sacrifice themselves a little bit, and then eventually we can bring forward the tanks and finish off the enemy. Let's get rid of this bunker. Oh, that was beautiful. The Chiha still has its uses. Now, it's not so much, I said earlier that, Japanese tanks were not good. It's not so much that they weren't good. I mean, compared with other nations, yeah, they weren't very good. Compared with the German tanks, the British tanks, the American tanks. But against the Kuomintang, or the Chinese, they were definitely pretty useful. That's definitely the case. Now, what I think I want to do here, I think I want to go ahead and hit these 70mm guns. I think I also want to go ahead and start bombing the city here. But we're definitely taking a risk no matter what we do. So let's go ahead and do it. You can see there's a lot more Kuomintang soldiers over here. Very nice. We got them down to 1. Should we bring in the fighters? I don't think so. I should say we got them down by 1, not 2-1. That would make this way too easy. But we are definitely damaging the enemy. Now keep in mind, these guys can always go ahead and basically refresh their forces, and that's going to make it very hard for us to get across. Now, this particular gun seems very easy to hit, so I'm going to go ahead and drop some bombs on it. I love the animation of the bombs dropping in this game. I'm not sure if you guys agree, but I just think it's really fun to watch. And we'll even bring in the 0 for some target practice. Okay, getting across this river is going to be very, very important. The Yangtze obviously is a barrier between us and the Kuomintang forces, number one. And number two, getting across it is not going to be easy. So we need to do everything we can to get across it with minimal losses. Open fire. Move forward with our tanks, although I don't think we're going to be able to get to the pillbox in time, unfortunately. 95, huh? Maybe, just maybe, we could go ahead and get another artillery piece. Now, I'm not supporting this artillery piece with a with transport, which is going to cause problems for sure. Although later we can upgrade and actually add a transport. But in this terrain, we definitely need that transport to move this thing around. Let's attack. Good work, boys. Not bad at all. Okay, let's end the turn, and we're going to be turning it over to the Nationalists. Let's see what happens. Oh boy, we definitely have artillery. Okay, here we go, guys. And I think I love that secondary objective. Just imagine how different the war would have gone if Chiang Kai-shek actually was captured. I think there's a chance that Japan would have been a much fiercer opponent, simply because they wouldn't have had to deal with the Chinese, really. Now, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move this cavalry out of the way. And one thing I love about Order of Battle, it's a little different from Panzer Corps, although I love both games, is you can still recruit some more men, still basically heal your units, even if you do move, which I think is the way it should be. All right, let's go ahead and send our infantry forward, specifically these Japanese Marines, and we are going to attack the city, but before we do, I want to try to soften it up a bit. Here we go. Come on. Now, we are playing as the Japanese, quite possibly the worst in terms of human rights violations, specifically, you know, I'm not going to say war crimes because there were many other parties in World War II that committed some pretty heinous war crimes, but specifically treatment of enemy prisoners. So, you know, we can expect for sure that if we take this area, we're not going to be treating the people well. We're probably not too interested in civilian casualties. We probably couldn't care less. In this case, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to launch that attack. And I think we can break into this city, guys, taking our first objective here. Zhongzhou is in Japanese hands. There we go. Head of the Dragon. I love that picture, by the way. With their capital city threatened, the Chinese leader Chiang Kai-shek himself appears to be commanding the defense of Chongqing. So, wow. Even Chiang Kai-shek himself is actually here commanding it. Now, I always say never cross rivers with tanks. I might be about to break that rule, to be honest with you, just because I think we have a perfect opportunity here to get across the Yangtze River without any bridges at all. And if we can do that, well, obviously it's going to work out very well for us. Let's do it. Here we go. I know a lot of you are probably like, don't do it, Agrippa, it's not a good idea, but sorry, you can't dissuade me. Nice. Let's go, boys. Going to move this guy here just so we don't start getting cut off. Remember, anytime that occurs, and there's little pockets of still enemy, enemy, not necessarily enemy resistance, but enemy control, it can really start affecting you later in the game, especially if they start, crossing the river, taking this area. We don't need that happening. Let's move forward. And let's get this cavalry forward as well. So Chongqing, I believe, is all the way over here. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's right there. I think it's actually, I'm probably mispronouncing it. It's probably Chongqing, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll have to wait and see. Hello, Redster. Good to see you. Hello, sir. All right, very cool. Let's go ahead and keep on moving here. I think we can take this pillbox out. And of course, there's a big difference. We got like the fortified bunkers, the concrete bunkers. These are not concrete bunkers. These are pillboxes, built with earth, maybe some wood. They usually house machine guns. They can still absolutely cause some serious problems, but not nearly as deadly as a concrete bunker, that's for sure. Okay, wow, our artillery is actually out of range. We're going to have to move up. And I want to move this artillery too, but see, without that truck, guys, we can barely move this thing. So maybe not the greatest idea. In the meantime, we're just going to have to go ahead and slowly move it forward, but we are going to eventually have to upgrade it and add a unit. I'm also going to send these units over here. Number one, because I love these forested tiles. If we get attacked, we're going to have a slight advantage. And number two, because I want to see if I can actually flank the enemy by crossing the river on this side. As you guys know, supply lines in this game absolutely do matter. So if we can cut off the enemy over here, over here in this city or Fuling, they're going to be completely cut off, and they're going to be in some very, very serious trouble. So let's keep on moving. We could attack, but I'm not sure if we should. Why not? Banzai! Okay, there we go. Let's end the turn. I want to make sure once again we moved everything, but I think we have. And also clicking this button will actually select the next active unit. So we can jump over here. Yeah, we could probably hit this area, although I'm wondering if we should actually focus on the enemy over here. And I think we should, just because this northern passage, we seem to have more men here. We seem to be doing better in this northern passage, so I want that to continue. Okay, that's it. Let's end the turn. Here we go. 50 turns, guys. As you can see, this current mission is 50 turns long. Morning Sun and Rising Sun, to a degree as well, are both very, very long campaigns, so there's a ton of replay value here. Let's go ahead and end the turn. Oh, the Kuomintang. Look at that, they're reinforcing some units here. I don't like that one bit. Okay. Yeah, man, they're doing all right, I must say. Now, thankfully, our boys over here held very, very well. But my main concern is actually the enemy infantry, and now that they're out in the open, this is a perfect time for our tanks to attack. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and drop some bombs from the Key 48. Now we'll open fire with our tank. Yeah, I didn't think so. Take that position as well. And let's see if we can get across with our Japanese Marines. I mean, after all, they're supposed to be Marines. They should be able to deal with rivers pretty easily. Let's go ahead and attack here. Nice. Actually, now, this is risky, but I'm going to move our forces forward, and I'm going to move the tank into the city. Now, once again, not the greatest idea. A tank against an anti-tank gun is obviously not going to do very well. But, we're pretty desperate in this particular scenario, this particular campaign. We want to try and get across under any means necessary. There we go. Look at that. We get another opportunity to possibly finish off one of these units. And I think I'm going to go for this one because he's closer to our lines. Nice shooting, boys. Very nice shooting. We can actually go ahead and open fire as well with this unit. This poor guy, we're going to have to slowly move him up. I think once we get to 80, we should be able to purchase a vehicle for him. But for now, we're going to have to wait. Okay, getting across that river. There are some minefields here that the Chinese have set up. We're going to try to just go ahead and avoid them as best we can. And of course, we are going to begin the flank attack here and try to get behind this city. Also, I'd like to go ahead and recruit some more men here. Open fire with the artillery as well. And maybe we should also bring over some of the bombers that we have in the north. We already have so many planes working over there. I'm starting to think that it's only fair that we bring some of them down here to the south. That being said, I also want to keep them near the airfields because, eventually these guys are going to run out of fuel and then they just will crash land. And it's more than likely nobody's going to survive that crash landing. Let's see. Okay. Could use them here as well. I wonder. I think I'm going to go ahead and actually hit this unit over here, the 8. Not very effective. That's unfortunate. Let's see, maybe we can move this guy out. Oh, look at that, guys. This is amazing. So look at that. Have you guys noticed something interesting about the portrait in the lower right corner? That is Chiang Kai-shek, and he's actually in this vehicle right here, the SDKFZ. Do you guys know what country the SDKFZ comes from? That's right, from Germany. Little do people know, and if you actually see some pictures from the time, the Germans actually provided the Chinese not only with certain vehicles, but also with outdated uniforms. If you take a look at any war movie about of course, the Sino-Japanese War, or, for instance, documentaries about the Sino-Japanese War, you'll notice that the Chinese soldiers have very German-looking helmets. And yeah, those are German helmets. Now, of course, we all know that the Germans sided with the Japanese, but they had nothing against supplying the Chinese with some armaments. It's weird. I don't fully understand it myself. Maybe one of the historians here on the channel can explain it to us, but I've always found that really funny. And now we know, for instance, that Chiang Kai-shek has his own personal STKFZ here, which just makes things very, very strange, to say the least. But totally accurate. Okay, we're going to move forward here. And yes, we are going to lose some men on this attack for sure, especially since he's going to get some support there from the anti-tank weapon. But I'm still going to keep attacking. Ow! That did not feel good. Yeah, we might get this guy across. We might not, of course. And I'm really tempted to destroy that minefield. But, of course, we're going to lose 2 guys. Yeah, no. I think we're going to just wait. It's going to take us 2 turns. We'll just try to avoid it. Let's take a look here. Thank you, Mildolf. Yeah, and I would throw up a picture here on the stream if I could. I just don't, I don't want to mess with obviously, Twitch, things like that. They can sometimes get, especially with certain pictures. If Muso or any of you guys want to look for a picture of the Chinese, specifically the Kuomintang helmets, you should post it there, and you'll see that those are German helmets, and many of the uniforms are, of course, outdated German uniforms as well. So I'm going to go ahead and end the turn here. I can't for the life of me figure out why that happened. I think probably my best explanation, and this is totally subjective, is that, maybe the Germans didn't exactly want the Japanese getting too strong. They wanted to give them a challenge. So perhaps helping the Chinese indirectly, was kind of a way of keeping them in check, despite the fact that they were allied with the Japanese. Another interesting fact, and a really weird one once again, is that a staunch Nazi known as John Rebe, I believe is his name, could be John Rebe, actually managed to save, during the Siege of Nanking, also known as the Rape of Nanking, managed to save a lot of Chinese citizens from destruction by the Japanese army, specifically because he was a German citizen and a member of the Nazi Party. So he was actually able to save quite a few people. Look at that. We just got an excellent attack, and that was great. It's one of the few times you can actually say that a Nazi ends up being a bit of a hero in that sense. And I think after that, Reb, he very well may have been a member of the party just to avoid, being killed by the Nazis themselves. We really don't know. Move forward. Keep on going, boys. Don't stop. Don't stop while you're ahead, as they say. Oh, that was not good. That hurt. Risky maneuver, but I'm going to move forward here. And the reason I'm doing this is because we actually have 2 units parallel to this unit, which is going to allow us to actually attack basically from both sides here. We're going to get a bonus when we attack. And I think that's very important. And let's go ahead for the tank. I'm just going to go ahead and reinforce him. For our artillery, I'm going to assist with this unit. This Chinese heavy infantry is actually putting up quite a good fight. And I think the Japanese were pleasantly surprised when the Chinese started fighting back. They really did not expect the Chinese to fight back so ferociously, and they definitely did. They gave the Japanese a run for their money. Okay, let's see. Oh boy, they've got some interesting defenses set up here. First things first, I'm definitely going to try to get across that river again. It's only on Rising Sun that I do this, that I actually cross rivers like this, because on any other, especially if you're in Europe, on any other DLC, it's a very dangerous maneuver. But in Rising Sun, you're kind of forced to cross the Yangtze, by yourself. There aren't many bridge crossings, and, you can't focus your entire time on taking just one bridge crossing. It's just too much work. Okay, I am going to send this cavalry unit behind the enemy. This should cut them off, and we should be able to take this settlement this turn. But, of course, I'd rather take it with minimal loss to our men, because then we're going to have to defend against the remaining enemies. So one thing I will do is I'll attack this unit of 8. They're probably going to be able to do just as much damage to us, and I'm also going to start moving forward with our cavalry. Again, in an ultimate attempt to get around and encircle these enemy units. Let's take a look here. You'll never know, Mildolf. I might be sitting here in a commissar's uniform with a Soviet hat. In fact, I am. No, I'm really not. Although we do have a Soviet cap here at the home. Maybe we'll do another live cam one day in the future, and I'll wear it. Well, I'd like to get the full ensemble if I'm going to do that. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I'm definitely going to go ahead and bomb the city. And again, the reason I'm doing this, I otherwise would have gone for the enemy AT guns. The reason I'm doing this is I want to take that city with minimal losses to our men. Hopefully no losses to our men. So let's go ahead and attack. In fact, I'm going to attack with the tank. And I'll show you why. We can now take our unit, send them in here, and we can reinforce. And I'm actually going to reinforce them with seasoned troops. So keep in mind, you do have the option, for those of you that are new to the game, to reinforce your units with seasoned troops. It's going to be more expensive, but obviously they have some combat experience. They're going to fight a lot better than your regular army troops. I'm also taking a look here, and it looks like we've got some requisition points to spend. So if anybody has any suggestions, please feel free to share them. In the meantime, I'm going to finish up this heavy infantry unit. Boom. I also think it's time to probably try and land some of these planes. I feel like they may be getting low on fuel. So I want to be very careful. Key 51. What we don't want is this enemy infantry unit getting over here. We don't want that. That would be very bad. Oh yeah, nice hit. Got the 0 here as well. And, of course, the Chinese, they really don't have much of an air force. Interestingly enough, American fighter pilots did eventually come to help the Chinese, although I'm not sure if that was post-Pearl Harbor or pre-Pearl Harbor. I can't remember the name of the squadron, but they did actually come and assist the Chinese in dogfights against Japanese Zeros. Remember, the Chinese did not have much of an air force, if any at all. Pretty much all outdated stuff, and up against the Japanese, the more modern Japanese, especially at the time. They really didn't stand much of a chance in the air. Let's take a look over here. Flying Tigers, that's it. Thanks, boys. See, this is why I love you guys. If I don't know something, you guys are right there to answer. Absolutely, man. The Flying Tigers, that's the one. And I do believe they were pre-Pearl Harbor, if I'm not mistaken. That would be a really weird situation, like I must admit. And of course, this has happened in wars throughout history. But it would be a pretty, well, not all history, but modern history, of course, a pretty weird situation to be shot down over enemy lines and not be fighting for the country that your plane is a part of. Like, so for instance, an American gets shot down behind enemy lines. He's captured by the Japanese before America declared war on Japan. I mean, what happens there? Like, does anyone know? Does he get to escape? Do they have to let him go, or does he just become another prisoner? I don't know. It's kind of a scary thought, to be honest. So somebody mentioned, let's take a look here. Well done. Yeah, I think Zach's correct. The infantry's light, and especially when you're facing the Chinese, it's always good to have a nice amount of infantry. So I'm going to take some more Japanese Marines, but, with the Truck 80, it's not cheap. It's definitely not cheap, but I think it's worth it. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get that. Hopefully these guys can get to the front lines fairly quickly. I wouldn't mind getting some more bombers, to be honest with you. I think they've done a great job, but they're not essential to victory. So let's end the turn. myself a little cup of coffee, guys, so I'm going to take a 30-second intermission here in about 3 or 4 minutes. Shot as a mercenary. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I can't say that good things are going to happen, obviously. And, you know, obviously, the government, it's totally up to them whether or not they see that as a declaration of war or not, which they very well could. Okay, let's see. What to do? All right, let's keep on moving. The only reason I'm following these guys is an attempt to eventually flank the rest of these guys over here. But I think the Chinese are catching on. That's why they're kind of spreading out here. If we cut these guys off, you know, they're going to be very easy to destroy. And in the case of these infantry units, yeah, we might have to head back across the river. Or we could do this. That'll work. Fengdu is in our hands. Boom, down to 3. Could actually bring in the tank, but I think the most important thing to do is just get the tank into Fengdu and reinforce him. As for this guy, I think we should start heading for the airfield just to be safe. And of course, these planes are going to be out of commission for a while. I don't like that one bit, but I'd rather they be out of commission for a while than, you know, they get shot out of the sky and then we can't use them anymore. That would be a travesty. A travesty, excuse me. A travesty. Look, I just invented a word, guys. Oh, those travesties. Let's keep on going. Let's hit this guy with everything we've got. That's right, you can quote that. Agrippa travesties with a V. Let's keep on going. It's a mix between a travesty and a tragedy. Okay, here we go. Yeah, we should definitely open fire on this guy. But before that, I want to open fire with our arty. And actually, I'm much more afraid of their heavy infantry units. So I'm actually going to go for the heavy infantry. By doing that, though, we're leaving Zhongzhou open. So it's dangerous. Beautiful. Kind of want to cross those mountains, but at the same time, is that the wise choice? I don't think it is. I think the wise choice is to head back to Zhongzhou and make sure we don't lose it. Of course, now that we're in a supply truck, it makes us a much easier target for the enemy. We'll be moving forward with our artillery as well. This poor guy still doesn't have his necessary equipment to move. That's too bad. Take a look here at the chat once again. I've had cake, I'm happy. I like that. That is why I don't gamble, damn it. Well done, Group Drug. Very well done. I mean, I'm the same. Although I do roulette occasionally. My problem is if I win, you know, I'll typically go ahead and just roulette all because I'm like, well, I won once. You might as well go ahead and just spend it all. But if I'm gambling in real life, you know, like somewhere in Las Vegas or something like that, I'll go to the dollar tables. Those are really fun. You can just spend hours and hours and hours at those tables, losing absolutely no money, or very little. That being said, and you know, word of advice: if you go to a place like Vegas or Atlantic City or you know, any place around the world where you're able to gamble legally, remember we don't support illegal gambling. Then don't bring a lot of money. You know, don't put yourself in that position. Look at this. We're against gambling, aren't we great? Okay, for this guy, I'm going to be bringing him back to the airbase as well. That's the Zero. Very conflicted about how I feel about the Zero. I mean, definitely a great fighter plane, but with the lack of armaments, with the lack of armor, I should say, not armaments, it's just an easy shot. You know, if you get one shot on that Zero, you're bound to make that thing crash. All right, let's go ahead and get some reinforcements here. Need immediate reinforcements. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. Let's see what happens. Oh, there's Chiang Kai-shek. I think he's escaped. Not the bravest general in the world, because he's running, but at the same time, you know, just like George Washington said, run away and live to fight another day. That's the most important thing. Okay, we got to secure those northern airfields. Now, we have taken the Yangtze River defenses, and considering this is a 50-turn mission, that's actually pretty good. Now we need to secure the northern airfields with this northern force, and we need to secure Chengdu with this force right down here. We might just go ahead and ignore Fuling. We don't need to take it, but it would probably make things a little easier. But as you can see, we've got Shibao on the way. We've got Chengduing and Beibei. These are all places we need to take to get an actual victory. And there's Chiang Kai-shek behind Lin Shui. So we've got to cross 2 rivers to get to him. I think that secondary objective of capturing him, as awesome as it is not going to be easy to accomplish. So see, now they managed to cut off our cavalry. I think we'll do them one better. We'll do them one better, and we will eventually turn this into an actual cutoff for them. So hopefully this works the way I want it to. Nice work. It's better to destroy a unit than to damage one, so let's get rid of that thing. Besides, I think our men will thank us for it. And let's open fire over here. Don't like the fact that an enemy AT gun has gotten this close to our lines. Okay, send this guy in first of all. Let's land. Oh, we might have to wait a bit for the landing. There we go. We can land with this guy. Definitely want to do that. We're gonna have to wait for this one though. He's gonna have to wait his turn. Oh, maybe not. I think we can land them all at once. That's right. We're not playing Panzer Corps, so we can definitely land at multiple airfields. I thought that was also an airfield, but it looks like we just have one over here. That's why it's so important to capture those northern airfields, because then we can strike Chongqing from the northern airfields, and those are going to be at Lingshan, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look, just make sure. No, actually, at Lin Shui, the area where Chiang Kai-shek is currently hiding. Okay. Which way to go? Which way to go? Not sure. To think about this one. Hold on. Exactly. We only support Sliss and Goliador's gambling. Oh, I miss Goliador's. I certainly miss those, man. Those were delicious. Okay, let's grab this unit, and yeah, kind of want to get behind the enemy. Let's go for it. Got a little bit of lag here. See if we can get rid of that. Definitely destroy that unit. Just to make absolutely sure, I will go ahead and save. How about that? I don't know if anybody else is a sloppy saver like me, but I love the ASDW. That's usually my save game names. We'll go ahead and minimize the screen and see if we can change this. Okay, yeah, so it might require a manual game restart, but if the lag continues, we'll do that. Looks like the lag's better now. Let's see, just to make sure. Yeah, we're back to normal. I do occasionally see that happen, but it tends to go away on its own. Okay, interesting. So they do have some defenses around Lingshan. And one of the toughest things about this campaign, I'm just going to zoom out to show you guys. Look at all the victory points we have to take. We have to take that. We have to take this. We've got to take this, and we've got to take that as well. I mean, it's not like, you know, this is all in one straight line. The victory points in this battle are spread out all across the map. So we have to be successful on essentially every single front to get a true victory here. That makes things a lot more difficult for us. I'm definitely going to keep on chasing the enemy here, but primarily I want to get our guys back into our own territory so that we can defend them. Here we go. Nice. Wonderful. Oh, man, I'm loving the cavalry. How many times you guys heard me say before this stream that I'm happy to see cavalry in a World War II game? In this case, and on this terrain, I think the cavalry works wonders. All right, let's see. Make sure that we've got everybody refueled, ready to go. And, of course, we'll bring them out in the next turn or two. Also still have some infantry over here. Let's got to get over to the main point. And we've got some infantry here that can provide a little bit of fire support. Although I think it's time to start moving these guys up. Especially since we are going to be continuing forward towards the enemy lines. So let's keep on going. And again, getting shot in a horse and buggy, your chances of survival are virtually nil. So don't let that happen. Let's go. We're leaving Zhongzhou open, but in this particular situation, I think it's safe. The fog of war would have shown any units in this river area right here, so I don't believe that the enemy is close enough to really do much to us, but I could be wrong. Now, one mistake I made here is that I sent these Japanese Marine units here, and now our poor artillery piece, which we don't have a truck for, is going to have to move very slowly to the front and miss another chance, of course. Let's take a look here. All right, I think we've done just about everything we can. Let's go ahead and reinforce that unit. Any unit I haven't reinforced that can be reinforced, I will. Let's see. We do still have our tank, that's right. Yeah, let's get rid of that little... I don't like having those little, squares of, or hexes of enemy control. Even if they're not in that hex, later it could cause a problem. Reinforcements. Actually, let's move forward and then reinforce. I think we should actually probably be going west, and I have no idea how people could complete the secondary objective in this mission. It would be so tough to get Chiang Kai-shek. I think it would be hilarious, though, and it would be really interesting to see what happens, essentially, when that occurs. Let's take a look here. Yeah, it's fine now. Yes, I think that's a very good point, Zach Blood. So, when I take a look here at the chat, for instance, and then jump back into the game, that could definitely cause some slight lag issues for sure. That's definitely true. Okay, let's keep on going. Ooh, these guys are in desperate need of some reinforcements. All right, let's end it. We know, unmoved units. Oh, I don't like that AT gun getting so close. And the enemy's actually... Oh, no! Enemy tanks, guys! This is not good. We did not want this to happen. Now, I don't think we're going to have any issue with the enemy tank. An L335. If somebody wants to type that into Wikipedia and find out, I think that might be a Russian tank. I'm not sure. But somebody take a look. Let's see. It could also be Chinese-made. But I think a lot of the Chinese equipment comes from other countries. Move forward. Ooh, look at that. They've got a T-26. Oh, that's definitely a Russian tank. So look at that. They've also got Russian equipment. So this is hilarious. The Kuomintang forces have Russian or Soviet equipment, I should say. And they also have German equipment. I'm going to have to read up on the Sino-Japanese War. I mean, it's always been a conflict that's fascinated me. I think it's so cool that they put it into a game here. It really allows you to see things that, a lot of people never even hear about. But I just wonder, how are they getting all of this foreign equipment? And, why are they being supplied with the foreign equipment? I mean, it could be as simple as they're just paying for it. Maybe it's that simple. But something tells me it's a little more complicated than that. So these guys should be good to go. Yep, we're going to go ahead, get them out. Go ahead and land the Zero. Sorry, Zero. Actually, this is our Zero. There we go, we're going to land him as well. And these guys will be prepared to go on more bombing runs next turn. Okay, what can we do against these tanks? Again, not much at the present moment. I'm sending some of my units through enemy territory like this, and see if we can get these guys to meet up with our forces over here. We've cut off these units completely. Let's go. I should have reinforced them. Nice, we can still reinforce. I did keep the undo button, so just in case we have any issue. Let's, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Move up here. Attack. Nice. Pretty nice. They also did 2 damage to us. but I'd rather our infantry get the kill on this one. Nice job, boys. And with our tank, we'll just keep on moving forward. Of course, we'll go ahead and reinforce. Even one makes a massive difference here. Now, the one thing that's really bothering me is the fact that we've got this AT gun that's pushing and taking territory, and we need to get rid of it, because if they can get behind us and take Fengdu, that would just be embarrassing. Not only that, but if they cut us off, then that's pretty much GG. Let's take a look. Cavalry against an L335. I don't think that's a good idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring my cavalry over here, reinforce them. He's probably still going to attack us with that unit, to be honest with you, but at least we'll have our tanks nearby to respond immediately. Let's take a look here. Was an Italian tank. Hey, look at that, Musso. Carro Veloce. I'm sure I'm totally mispronouncing that. Hi, AMD Online. Good to see you. Aw, Kupanik. At least you can listen. And yeah, he does always work, doesn't he, Musso? He's a busy guy. Let's take a look here. That's great. So now you've got to explain to us, Musso, why the Italians were selling armaments to the Chinese. Once again, you know, this is all like sort of a love triangle, because the Italians, the Japanese, the Germans were all allies, but apparently the Germans and the Italians were absolutely providing armaments to the Chinese Republic, to the Kuomintang, and, well, at the same time, of course, being allies with the Japanese. I don't know. Very complicated situation, I have to say. Okay, it's not so much like the Spanish Civil War where they openly supported the fascists. Here they kind of are supporting, well, you could argue that the Kuomintang were pretty fascist themselves, but they're basically supporting the Chinese fascists against the Japanese fascists here, who they're allied with. It's very strange, but I love it. Oh no, they're going for Fengdu. What did I tell you guys? We're gonna have to bring one of our tanks back. That's gonna cause some serious problems. Oh boy. Look at this. They surprised us with a bunch of tanks. Oh man. Incredible job here. Incredible job by the enemy. Really, really well done. What can we do? What can we do? I don't know. I think we need to get this guy out of the way. That's pretty obvious. Let's go ahead and reinforce this guy. Move this guy back immediately. Reinforce him as best we can. I'm definitely not moving into this death trap right here. So I'm going to go ahead and try and waste some of these tanks with just some good old-fashioned artillery fire. I mean, moving our tank into this square right here, this tile right here, would be just a terrible idea. That being said, we do have to take out these enemy tanks. Let's open fire on the Italian-made weapon here. What to do, what to do. Let's reinforce. And I'm glad we brought these guys over here. I'm going to go ahead and put them in the jungle and sort of use them as a guerrilla force against the enemy once they get a bit closer. They definitely surprised me, though. We did not expect the enemy to have this many men. And as you can see, it's a pretty nasty surprise. So our cavalry can definitely take on this L335. We're going to go ahead and open fire. It's not a very well-guarded vehicle, you know, to be honest. I think it's more of like an armored car than it is really a tank. And I'm sending this guy over to try and stop this guy from taking Fengdu. I don't know what we can do about that. It's going to put us in a really weird position. Now, we'll probably be able to retake it within a turn or so, but just that turn, that loss of movement for a turn, you know, can lead to, obviously, a defeat overall. What I am going to do is I'm going to link up with these guys. I've been trying to do this for a while, so now this unit is completely destroyed. We'll go ahead and finish them off. Boom. Yeah, we have no choice. We're going to have to open fire on it. We got one, but he reinforced, and he's definitely going to be able to go ahead and take that city next turn. get our boys out of here. I don't like the sound that engine makes. If I heard an engine like that on a plane, I would get immediately off the plane. I'd be like, this does not sound safe. This thing is gonna crash for sure. It sounds like a rusty engine, which it very well may be. Let's keep on moving. We're taking a ton of territory, that's for sure. Let's take a look here at the chat. Oh, that's too bad, man. Oh, thank you so much, AMD. I appreciate that, man. You followed my my Twitch stream on my channel. Yeah, that was fun, and I'm definitely going to keep on doing that campaign. Of course, the German campaign for Panzer Corps. And a lot of people have asked me, you know, do I prefer Panzer Corps or Order of Battle? And I really like both, but, you know, for different reasons. I mean, for me, it's obvious that Order of Battle is a more modern game. You know, you can actually see the animations, you can see the combat happening, you can see the explosions, you even see, you know, bits and pieces of your tanks or your artillery pieces flying all over the place when they get destroyed. And that's great. And I also like Panzer Corps because it's been out for so long that there is just, you know, an endless amount of stuff to do. And the same can be said for Order of Battle. So it's really hard for me to make a decision, to be honest with you. It's kind of like a 9 and a 9.5, and depending on how I feel, one is the 9 and one is the 9.5, is kind of the way I feel about these games. So let's go ahead and end the turn. I hate that the enemy is taking back Fengdu. Believe me, I'm so annoyed by that. But, you know, things happen. Okay, here we go. Back in our hands, but of course, and actually that didn't affect our troops. So it looks like they had enough supply to make it through another turn. We got very lucky. If that had gone on for 2 turns, it would have been very hard to come back from that. Start moving that cavalry. Look at this. If we can just keep taking these large swathes of land behind enemy territory, it's going to be easy to win this particular war. Open fire. Really want to try to weaken the Chinese here. Okay, not bad, not bad. Yeah, let's keep on going. Looks like the enemy tanks are becoming less and less of a threat. You know, they do have a lot of tanks, but they've got a lot of not very good tanks. So that's what's working for us in this particular situation. Attack. Come on, boys. Get out of here, that's right. All right, let's bring the bomber in. The Brommer. Yeah, let's bring the Brommer in. Here we go. What do I want to hit? Yeah, I think we have to go for the enemy tanks. I don't think we're going to get a kill, but maybe we'll shake them up a bit. No, we did get a kill. Hey, good attack. I love that Key 51, I have to say. What a nice little bomber. It's sort of like the Japanese version of the Stuka dive bomber. It definitely has its uses. Of course, without the terrifying microphone, but still very cool. Okay, let's see. No, we've done that. Let's get the artillery. Yeah, let's get the artillery out of here. There's no need for me to go through this area, although there could be Chinese stragglers here. It would be the safe option. But come on, I'm a grip of Maxenius. I'm not worried about safety. You guys crazy? Come on, let's go. Let's keep moving. And now we're going to take these guys out of the jungle, and we're going to start attacking. This is exactly what I wanted to happen. We're getting that bonus from the troops over there. That's just beautiful. Also, I think the Chinese are also using Stielhandgranaten. I'm not sure if that makes a difference, though, because I think the Japanese were also probably using Stielhandgranaten, although I'm not as familiar with with the Japanese weaponry, to be honest with you, specifically when it comes to small arms, grenades, rifles, etc. Let's see, bring in the zeros. Love the sound of that thing, man. The Kanbaku, not so much. I like what it does, but I hate the sound of its engine. Let's see what we can do here. Oh, nice. Boom. Beautiful hit there by the Key 48. Okay, here we go. Turning it over to the enemy. And guys, look at this. We're just at turn 10 out of 50. Coming to the end of this 1 hour stream, well, 1 hour and 10 minutes, give or take. And that means that it took us 1 hour to get through 10 turns. Ostensibly, it should take you about, 5 hours to get through the entire battle. Now, obviously, for those of you that probably play a little bit faster, especially if you're not, also doing a stream and talking at the same time, you probably will end that, a bit faster. But I love that. To me, that just means more replay value in a game, more time spent on the game. And as far as I'm concerned, more time spent on a game, you're getting your money's worth. I tend to, when I do a game purchase, and I don't know if you guys are the same, I try to think, I go, well, the price of a movie ticket is, at least, where I'm from, maybe €10, okay? So if a movie is 2 or 3 hours long, say it's 3 hours, then I go, okay, if I'm going to buy this game, and this game is 30, let's say 30 or 40 euros, am I going to be able to actually get that time back? Or is this going to be like a really short game and, I'm going to be done with it and I just spent 30 euros on a game that took me only 2 or 3 hours to complete? That's definitely not worth it. Now, with games like this and Panzer Corps, there are just endless things to do. I mean, some of these missions, they're going to take so long for you to complete that you're going to be here for quite a while. We're also about to destroy one of these enemy tanks. I certainly hope so. Bring the zero in. Oh boy. Okay, let's see. Do we go for the tank or the enemy infantry? Yeah, we're gonna go for the tank. I'm going to move up here so that we can bring this guy into the fight as well, but I'd love to destroy this unit right now. One less thing to worry about. It looks like they actually won that little tank battle there, but I think we can finish them off here. Good work. Look at that. And you can see all the wheels, everything flying all over the place. I love that level of detail. Let's jump over here. Ooh, thank you, Pixel. And yes, the good old Kawasaki. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely the case. Gunj Dorenzo is that if you like Panzer Corps, then yeah, there's a high probability you're going to like this one too. And that's really a good way to put it because, especially if you've played Panzer Corps or you've beaten it already, I don't think I've met anybody that's beaten Panzer Corps fully. I might give you a prize if you have, because it's such a long game, especially if you do the German campaign. It takes a very long time. But if you do beat Panzer Corps, or if you want maybe a game that's a little more modern in terms of its graphics, then yeah, pick up Order of Battle, absolutely. I mean, I have both, obviously. But, sometimes I'm in the mood for one, sometimes I'm in the mood for the other. I don't really have a specific favorite, I have to say. Oh, yes. And that Kanbaku, like I said, I hate the sound of the engine because it sounds like it's going to crash at any second. But it's a decent bomber. It's a decent bomber. I'll give it that. Okay, we can't keep that guy there. I know we have to probably keep this tank here for defensive purposes, but it just doesn't feel right. We need this guy to help us take the city. So we're going to just have to keep moving forward and just take the risk, basically. We also have some requisition points, so we could purchase a few more units. Although I don't think I'm going to actually do that now. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going for the tank. I see the tanks as much more of a threat, even though they're not very good tanks than the infantry. You know, we can deal with the enemy infantry. I don't know if we can deal with wave upon wave of enemy tanks. I was going to say Chinese tanks, but they're not Chinese tanks. So, with wave of Italian and German tanks, apparently. And some Russian tanks, too, which is hilarious. That is very, very interesting. It has to do with, you know, maybe a general, a corrupt general sells off some equipment, gets a little extra money. Again, these are just guesses, but I just think it's fascinating stuff. Wipe them out. Good work. And if there were any Chinese soldiers in this area, which there might be, you know, the fog of war still applies here, they're in very serious trouble. They're not going to be able to move. They're going to be stuck. And if we stumble across them, they're not going to be able to put up much of a fight, if any kind of fight at all, really. Let's see. Let's see if we get lucky. Nope. We still have one more chance. Keep the faith. Oh, yes. Oh, thank you so much, Key 48. You really are the key to this battle. See what I did there? You see what I did there? Oh, gosh, I should be shot for using that pun. You really are the key to this battle. Misha says I'm not rich in slits either. No, you're not. Although you're basically like the Federal Reserve. You can just generate slits at a whim. That being said, guys, we are coming to the end of this user stream for Order of Battle Morning Sun. I do want to thank everybody for showing up. I would say, without a doubt, and I've said this before in Order of Battle streams, that Morning Sun is my favorite DLC. And the reason is because it focuses on a period actually partially before World War II, in 1937 and 1938, which I believe is the Second Sino-Japanese War, where, of course, you know, Japan was attacking Manchuria, as well as, you know, allying themselves with certain warlords in China to establish basically a Japanese puppet government in China. And it really is, I think, one of the most overlooked parts of World War II, because the casualties were just tremendous, just monumental casualties on both sides. And, you know, we hear a lot about, of course, the Russians, the Germans, the Americans, et cetera, but we don't hear nearly as much, not nearly as much, about the Sino-Japanese War, which in a weird way, even though it was, part of it was during World War II, it really was its own war. It really, really was its own war. There was the first Sino-Japanese War, then the second Sino-Japanese War. It's a fascinating topic. You know, so many things. Of course, just looking at the vehicles that you were looking at today, you could see that the Chinese, the Kuomintang, were getting, you know, vehicles from all sorts of different countries, some that were allied with their enemies, the Japanese. Just fascinating stuff. And at the same time, there were so many factions. You know, there were Mao's communist rebels, there were the Kuomintang, there were the cliques, which were basically warlords, and of course, there was Puyi, the Chinese emperor, who sadly, you know, became a puppet of the Japanese. And I believe there's actually a movie out there, The Last Emperor, I believe it's called, that is all about Puyi's life there at the end. And I have to say, you know, he may not have been the nicest guy in the world, but I feel really sorry for the guy, because, you know, he basically sold his country out completely to the Japanese, and once he realized he had made that mistake, it was way too late. Luckily, you know, the Japanese were repelled, and everything was put in order. Well, kind of. I'm not so sure I'd want to be living in Mao's China during the Cultural Revolution, but that's neither here nor there. Thank you again, guys. It's been great. Don't forget to vote for next week's user stream. I recommend Quadriga, just throwing that out there. And love you guys. I think most of you guys already have my YouTube channel, so if you'd like, add me on Twitch. I'll type something in the chat. Simply click my name, and you can subscribe to me there. Thank you again, guys, and take care.